Hey everybody, today we're going to be drawing a Grinch. So let's grab a marker and start drawing Grinch. First we're going to draw his eyes. So I'm going to add a little circle and color that in with my marker. And then we're going to add the shape of its eye. So we're going to curve out and then go back up like that. And then down here we're going to curve and then connect it up there. I'm also going to add a wrinkle right here. And now let's add his thick eyebrows. So starting here, we're going to go out, come back in, out, come back in, and then go out and then connect it in. Now we can color that in. Now let's draw the nose. So I'm going to start over here, add a curve, then 2 lines on the outer sides, and come back in. Okay, let's draw the other eye. So starting here, I'm going to curve down and stop right there. I'm going to add a little wrinkle. Then we're going to continue on the other side and then come back in. We can add a little circle and then color that in. I'm going to add his eyebrows. We're just going to add little bumpy curves like this. And then I'm going to color that in. He has a wrinkle right here, so let's add that. Then we're going to add one more wrinkle right here. Now let's draw his mouth. So right below the nose, I'm going to add a line going down. And then we're going to draw his crooked smile. So starting over here, I'm going to curve out, come back in. I'm going to just add a wiggly little line for his mouth. Then we're going to add little wonky curves right here. I'm going to add a few wrinkles. One right here, right there. I'm going to add another one right here. Then maybe a few right here. Now let's draw his face. So let's start right by the eye, and then we're going to start adding his little fur. So we're going to go out, in, out, in, out, in a couple times, and then stop right there. And then we're going to curve out and then come down to the chin. And then we're going to go up from the chin and add a few more of those little fur lines and details. And stop right back at the eye. Now we're going to add a Santa hat on the top. So starting here, I'm going to add a little bit of his head coming out like this. And then now let's add a little bumps and curls for the Santa hat. We're going to try to make it messy. It doesn't have to be perfect. There we go. And then we can add one more fur and connect it in. Also add a little wrinkle right there. And then now we're going to draw the top of the Santa hat. Okay, so we're going to start right here, go out, and then we're going to add a little curve, and then curve it back in. From there, we're going to add a little triangle, and then kind of a weird U shape, and make the top of the hat pointed, and then connect it back in. Now we're going to add a little fuzzy ball at the end, like that. Let's add one more wrinkle right here, and then let's add a little fur right here too. Okay. I'm just going to keep adding more little fur details until it looks just like him. Now let's draw his body. So he's going to be wearing a fluffy red coat. So we're going to add the fluffy white part first. So I'm just going to keep adding these little fluffy little circles, cloud shapes, are all around his neck, like that. Be sure to make them really messy. Okay, now let's draw his coat. So we're going to add his arm first. So starting here, we're going to go out really long, and then we're going to come back in. I'm going to add a little line, then little muscle for his arm, like that. And then I'm going to stop right there. And from there, I'm going to curve down and then we're gonna stop right there and then add some fluffy stuff around his arm. Then from there, we're going to add another wrinkle and then connect this back there. We're gonna actually add one more wrinkle right here. Okay, now we're gonna add his arm right there. So starting there, we're gonna come down and then add a little curve and then pull up to his fingers. So we're gonna add one pointy finger and then curve it back in. We're gonna add two more in the back, like that. Now let's do the same thing to the other side. Starting from here, we're gonna add his shoulder bump, his arm coming out, then going back in, adding a little line, and going back up, and adding some muscle to his arm, right there. We're gonna stop right there, add a little wrinkle, and then we're going to pull that back down right about there. And we're gonna add some fluffy stuff around his arm. And then we're gonna draw his hands. So we're gonna curve in, draw a weird wiggly shape, and then pull up to his fingers, like that. And we can add one more finger right here. And then I'm going to connect that back in. I'm gonna add 3 more fingers on the back, like that. Now I'm going to add a couple of wrinkles right here. And then we're going to pull this down on both sides. And then start adding more fluffy details. So now we're going to finish him off by drawing his hips. So from the side, we're going to add a little bit more fluffy fur details and then curve that back in. On here, we're just going to add a little curve, and we can just add his legs at the bottom. We're not going to draw his legs. And then on both sides, we're going to do the same thing, like that. We finished drawing Grinch. Now let's grab our colors and start coloring him. Okay, so the first color we're going to be needing is this light green right here. And then we're going to start coloring his body. So I'm going to start off with the face, and work my way down to the hands and the hips and legs. Okay, now I've finished using my green, but it looks a little plain, so I'm going to go and grab my darker green right there and start adding more shadows. So I'm going to be adding shadow around the neck right here. Small spaces. I'm going to be darkening up the mouth, add some shadows under the hat, and a couple light here on the hips too. Okay, I finished adding more shadows, and now that looks much better. So now I'm going to grab red and start adding some color to the sweaters and the hat. Okay, now we're almost done with coloring the Grinch, but I'm going to be using dark brown to add more shadow to the red sweater. And now we're done. That's how you draw and color the Grinch. Hope you liked this video and be sure to subscribe.